Ladles and jelly spoons, welcome back to Badgerworks. Today, this. This is the Fokker D.VII OAW edition, as flown by Ernst Udet. And this is what we're going to be building today. So, let's get on with it. So yes, this is indeed the infamous Fokker D.VII. This one is by Roden, a Ukrainian company, in 1/48 scale. I've had this for a very long time. The box is slightly battered now, unfortunately, but that's fine. I've built a couple of kits from Roden before, and they tend to be pretty good. They're not perfect. They sometimes have some flashing on them, but they're not. They're pretty good kits. They're quite detailed. Yes, this is the D.VII, and this one is not actually built by Fokker. This was built, as I say, by OAW. We'll get onto that in a bit more later. Now, there's some blurb on the front of the box here. Now, this was clearly written by somebody for whom English is not their first language, so you know we'll give them give them a pass there. I will attempt to make it slightly more legible. It looks like this might have been translated by Google. I'm not sure. Oberleutnant Ernst Udet was one of the most charismatic aces of the Great War. He was born in Frankfurt on April 26, 1896. Being a young boy, he built flying models and was interested with all things mechanical. After the outbreak of the war, he several times tried to join the army, but had problems with his frail figure. But he had his own motorcycle, and on August 21st, 1914, was assigned to the 26th Württemberg Reserve Division as a liaison officer. Soon he completed pilot training at the Darmstadt School and was posted to FAA 206 as a Gefreiter, becoming observer for Lieutenant Bruno Justinus. On November 29, 1915, Udet was moved to KEK Habsheim and gained his first aerial victory on March 18, 1916, where he shot down a Farman F-40. Soon KEK Habsheim was renamed as Jasta 15 and Udet became its commander. Later he was transferred to Jasta 37, where his score was raised to 20. After the visit of Manfred von Richthofen to Jasta 37, Udet again changed units, firstly to Jasta 11, later to Jasta 4, both of whom were included in the JG-1 Flying Circus. One of his many aircraft, the OAW built early D.VII with red fuselage and red and white stripes on the upper wing, carried the famous LO initials of his fiancée and inscription "Du doch nicht," not you yet, on the upper side of the elevators. This was lost in action on June 29, 1918. We had a dogfight with a French Breguet, I don't know how to pronounce that, 14. His parachute opened only 100 metres over the ground, but Udet survived. He landed heavily in a shell hole and was rescued by German infantry. Now that I find very interesting, because any of you who know anything about like First World War aviation, the Germans gave their pilots parachutes, but the Allies didn't, because they felt it would encourage cowardice. And so, you know, they thought, well, if you give someone a parachute at the first sign of trouble, they'll just bail out. It's like, it's not really showing much faith in your troops. And I mean, how many troops, you know, pilots and crew died needlessly, you know, from that rather short sight. Anyway, we're not getting to that. Where are we? In the following 2 months, he raised his score to 62, was badly wounded in the thigh, putting an end to his combat flying days. After the glorious von Richthofen, Udet was the second in the list of all German aces, and obviously the best ace who survived the war. Udet was not only a pilot, he could draw and paint. His artworks, caricatures and cartoons were very talented. Since the early days of the war, he was a famous playboy, and I love this phrase, too many women were mindless about him. I love that. So yeah, you're not in love with someone, you're mindless about them. I think that we should make that a thing. In 1920, he married Eleanor Zink, whose name Elo carried on all his aircraft. After the end of the war, he became a test pilot and a stunt pilot, and even played in a few movies. He took part in many air shows over Europe and America, but in the mid-30s, Ernst Udet rejoined the reborn Luftwaffe. He now had the rank of General Inspector der Jagd- und Stuntkampfflieger. Whatever that means. Schutzkampfflieger, sorry. My German's not great. He always was a good friend with Reichsmarshal Hermann Goering, but the quantity of his secret enemies inside the RLM had been too numerous. Regular conflicts with General Oberst Erhard Milch about development of the Luftwaffe had a tragic finale. On November 17, 1941, Udet committed suicide by shooting himself with a Colt revolver that he had brought back from America during his stunt pilot days. Nevertheless, propaganda declared that Udet died during testing a new aircraft, and he was buried with full military honours. So there you go. So, yes, let's get this thing out of the box and have a look at this. Does actually come with three different, I don't know if you can see that. It comes with 3 different schemes, but we're going to obviously do the Ernst Udet one. So let's get this out and have a look at it. We have decals, so we have various crosses. These I was a bit confused about at the beginning, but these are actually stripes for the wing ribs, so that doesn't make sense. And also there are many of these in 2 different colours, and apparently these were all of the aircraft that came out of OAW were painted with this pattern. So, but obviously that would be a nightmare to paint, so they give you a whole bunch of decals to do the wings and everything with, which is very handy, so we'll definitely be using those. Although applying decals that big can lead to its own problems, but we should be all right. So that's that. We have the instructions here. So we've got the instructions. And I like the way they do this, because they come as 2, it's like 2 sheets of A3 folded in half. So this one shows you all the bits and also has the paint and decal diagrams. And then this other one is basically the instructions to put it all together, which means you can put this to one side and you don't have to, you can like have whichever bit you need, and it's just less paper flapping around. There is a big thing on here about the Fokker D.VII. I shall read this to you, but I will put a timer on the screen so that those of you who want to skip past this can do so. So this is in both Ukrainian, English and German, so that's handy. Obviously we will be reading the English one because my Ukrainian is even worse than my German. So Fokker D.VII early. In April 19, numbers of the new Fokker D.VII fighter were delivered to the best known and most experienced yastas. This type was distinguished above all other fighters of its time, especially for its excellent flying performance, strong construction and high manoeuvrability. British and French pilots who met the new fighter in the sky above the Western Front gave it the nickname square-nosed. Dogfights with the square-nosed planes were frequently fatal for Allied planes. First batches of the Fokker D.VII were built in the Fokker plants at Schwerin. The German Air Command needed a great many more new fighters, and soon the Albatrosswerke received orders to produce the D.VII under license. Apart from its head plants located at Johannisthal, the Albatross Company had a branch factory in Schneidmühl named the Ostdeutschen Albatrosswerken. The OAW factory had the capacity to build more aircraft than the Albatross and Fokker plants put together. Early OAW-built machines were similar to Fokker-built machines in most respects. The main difference was the 4-colour lozenge fabric on all surfaces except the nose, where a distinctive giraffe-like pattern was applied with mauve stains on the green cowling. So again, that's these. This is what they're talking about. On May 1918, worrying news came from the front. Several D.7s had crashed after in-flight fires. The cause of these incidents were unknown until Lieutenant F. Fredericks survived after a similar accident. He reported that the ammunition in his aircraft had caught fire, and the main fuel tank and fuel vapour around the engine had flashed also. The installation of the ammunition was improved. For optimum ventilation of the engine, many additional louvers on the lateral panels were added. Through the entire period of OAW manufacture of the D.VII, different sub-modifications displayed a variety of external features of the cooling system. About 2,000 Fokker D.VIIs were built by OAW in total, more than 50% of the total built of this particular type. The Allies captured great quantities of the partly completed OAW D.VIIs after occupation of this region of Germany. So there you go. Right, so let's have a quick look at said instructions. So like I said, this is the bit that shows you. Now what's interesting, we'll see this when we look at the frames in a minute. You'll see there are bits that are greyed out, and they give you like lots of optional parts, but you don't need them, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, so that's fine. So this is the one we're going to be going for. This is Ernst Udet's aircraft. So this is what we'll be building. But we'll get onto that more later. Let's have a look at the other bit. So as you can see, this is quite detailed. So it has the engine. That's actually the fuel tank. Interior of the cockpit and various other bits and pieces. Right, so that all looks fine. It's actually fairly straightforward. There's not that many bits. The one thing it doesn't have is a rigging diagram, which is slightly annoying, but we can figure that out. That's fine. So let's have a look at the actual model. It does come in a plastic bag, but I've already taken it out. So now one thing I think I mentioned, that these do sometimes suffer from a bit of flashing. So like there's a bit there. And I think there's various other bits that might have a little bit of flashing on, but I'm not seeing much in the way of mould lines, but we'll see what it's like when we prime it. There are our wings, upper and lower wings. So the wings actually comes 2 sections. So we'll be starting with the wings, and we'll see why, because basically we need to get these decals on. So I want to start with that. So there's a little bit of flashing on the wings. Yeah, there's a bit there as well. Again, it's not terrible, and you know, and here is the fuselage and everything. And there's a bit more there, you see, around the cockpit. That's slightly annoying on the cockpit there, but again, we can clean that up. So, yeah, there you go. So we can make a start on this. Oh, there's some flashing on the propellers as well. I need to see which propeller we need to use. But, yeah, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to start with the wings, because I want to get those big decals on. So, despite what the plans say, we'll be starting here. Because we basically need to put those big decals on the undersides of all of the wings. Oh, I'd say these 1/48 scale kits are great, but they're a lot easier to build because of the size of them. But then, of course, the size of them also makes them slightly unwieldy in cases. Okay, and this. Ah, we need to do the underside of half of the tail. That's an interesting, interesting paint job. So yeah, so it's the undersides of the main wings and the underside of. So we need half the tail. Well, we need the tail as well. Right, where's the tail? A lovely bit of flashing there. Look. I say flashing, I don't really mind because it's easy to deal with. It's the it's mould lines and things like that that make things difficult. Okay. We also need these because these are the ends of the wings. Oh, I'll find that in a minute. I'll hold on to this one. So I found it. So I'll clean up these bits and then we'll put them together. Right, we have come across our first issue, and that's this rear elevator doesn't fit very well. And I have noticed that there are some very fine mould lines all the way around. So I've just spent some time cleaning this up. I think you can still see one right there in the middle there. But they are very fine, but they're just enough to stop this from going together. You know, it's kind of funny because it's like this is how well this thing fits together, that even a little tiny mould line has enough to get in the way. So, and also this, the ends of this here, like these joints here, were a bit tight. So what I've done is I've just basically taken a little flat file and just refined those edges inside and out and got it to fit together properly. So it's still a bit snug, but with a bit of glue on it, that'll be fine. So I don't want to remove too much material because I don't want to end up with big gaps. So I think we're just about ready to start putting this bit together now. So some glue would be useful. I'm just wondering whether to give that another little. Yeah, I think that'll be all right. Got to be very careful because obviously this file is not really designed for this kind of thing. I say there are some very fine mould lines in there, and it's just stopping it go together. Let's see what that's like. I think that will do us. So let's put some glue on this, and then we might have to do some finagling. careful not to touch this and put fingerprints on it. Stay. Right, that's got it. I'm just going to hold this for a minute until the glue starts to set up. There we go. Right, let's make sure that's level, which it isn't. Right, there we go. So we'll put that very carefully to one side, and we can start on the wings now, which I've cleaned up. So there are no locator pins on these wings, but it doesn't really need them. And in a way it's better because it allows you to fine-tune the fit. So basically you just butt that up against there. And I haven't cleaned these edges up too much because I wanted to get them together. And then once they're glued together, then I can clean both sides at once. See, there's some flashing here, but again, I'll glue this together and then I can use the bottom part of the wing as a template to clean up the top part. And then it makes sure that the pieces match perfectly. Right. That's not going anywhere. And now for the top wing. And again, same here. I've not been too precious about cleaning the edges because we want to do them together. But we do want to get it lined up end to end. Like that. Right, we'll let those dry and then we'll go from there. Right, so we're just putting the wings together. As you can see, I've cleaned up the leading edge and the trailing edge just with a knife and sandpaper and whatever else. I've done this end, so now we're just going to do this end, and it's not the simplest thing in the world to put together because again there are no locating pins, which is both a blessing and a curse because it lets you put things right where they need to be, but it also means there's nothing to hold it in place while you try and put the glue on. So we'll put the wing end tip on first. We'll just glob some glue on there quickly and get that to kind of hold it. And then we can maneuver that to exactly where it needs to be and then glue it properly like that. And we'll put a little bit on the underside as well. Now, we did have a couple of issues here, same as on the tail plane, of getting the aileron to fit. But again, it's just a question of just some judicial sanding and filing and scraping and whatever else to get it to go where it needs to go, which is roughly there. And again, we'll just, not do that. We'll put that on with a touch of glue down here at the bottom. And hopefully that will hold it while we get the rest of it glued up. So that goes like that. Now you'll notice there is a little hole there, and that is for this little bit here, which is tiny. But that just goes in there. There's the same on the tail as well. So just pop that there. It's not quite in the right place, but I just want to get a little touch of glue on there. and then we can basically maneuver that into place. Something like that. Now there is an argument for not putting these on until the decals are on, but I want to give these plenty of time to dry, and then you also want to make sure that it's sticking out equally top and bottom, and that it's obviously straight. So there's the other one, look. So now we can put these wings aside to dry completely, and then after that I think we can put some, well, we'll do any more tidying up that we need to do, and then we'll put some primer on them. Then we'll put some gloss lacquer on them, and then we'll put the decals on. Putting decals on right at the beginning, it's crazy. Right, so what I've done is sanded the wings and everything, just finished them off. I have given them a coat of our high coat grey primer, same stuff we always use. I've also given bits of it, like the top of the wing here, a coat of white primer, just to make life a little bit easier when we come to paint the top of the wing. And then I've given the whole thing a coat of clear lacquer, gloss lacquer. Now I didn't lay it on too thick, as you can see. It's not particularly shiny. It's basically just to seal it and help these lay flat. Now, speaking of them laying flat, we do have a bit of an issue, because these are not big enough to cover the whole wing, as you can see. So I've just been basically sorting these out so that they will actually match up, which I had them matched up just now, and now they're not. Have I put that around the wrong way? There we go, something like that. No, actually that's not right. Oh God, I had it matched up a second ago. No, it's not. There, that's it, like that. So that's a fairly close match, and that will actually cover half of the wing. So that's how we're going to do it. And again, I've got another matched pair here for the other side. So I'm kind of hoping we're going to have enough to do all the bits we need, because we need to do the underside of this wing, we need to do the top and bottom of the lower wing, and then we need to do half of the underside of the tail. So yeah, but we'll start with this, and I'll do the rest of it off camera just so you can see. So I need to keep those two together like that. So I need to keep these in order as well. So we'll put these on this side, or should we do them? Actually, we'll do them on this side. So we'll do them over here like this. So that will quite nicely cover half of the wing there. So about there. So we need to keep that like that, because that needs to go back and go on like that. Right, okay. So this is going to be hilarious. I'm guaranteed to get this wrong. I've got my little air wick burner here, wax burner, and I've got my Mr. Mark setter, which is going to be earning its keep today. And so what we need to do is get this into the water. Now, unfortunately, this is too big to fit in the pot, so I'm going to have to kind of put it through in a couple of swoops. But that's not the end of the world, because I'm hoping these are going to go fairly... Oh, God, they've come off. It's almost fell off. Right, okay, so that works really well. I need to be quick here. Oh, come here. So we're going to dob some of this onto the wing. That should be enough to get us started. Now we'll just... Oh dear, that is coming off there very, very easily. Wow. We'll put that there. And then slide that off like that. That came off of there so easily. That is almost frightening how quickly that came off of there. Right. I'm just wondering actually if I should have done the underside of this with white as well, but never mind. So we'll push that down over that. I need a cotton bud. And what we'll do is we'll just pop that over there like that. We'll get that laying flat there like that. And then we'll just roll this to get the excess out. Right, and what we'll do is we'll get a little bit of tissue and we'll just, because obviously with the size of this it's easier to do it with a bigger bit of tissue instead of just a cotton bud. Yeah, I must admit I am thinking now it probably would have been nicer to have done a white undercoat on that to make those colours pop a bit more, but I think it'll be all right. Now what we'll do is we'll put a little slice here from the corner of the wing. Oh dear, that's very thin. And then that we can wrap that round a bit. Let's get a little bit more of this on. Oh. Just fold that up a little bit. I want to push that over that. I say these decals are so thin you can just basically just push them over like that. All right, and then I need to keep those two together. I need my scissors, and we will snip that off. And I'll just try and work this. Oh, I've torn it. Oh, there's a bit of... Oh dear. These are so... Oh, it's stuck to my finger now. No, that's had it. I was hoping to just peel that off, but it's not. It's now glued itself to my finger. That's helpful. Never mind. We might be able to cover that up with this. I'll just put that like that. It's not ideal, but it's okay. Oh, stay. Yeah, these are very, very thin, these decals, and they just fall to bits as soon as you look at them funny. Right. So I'll just snip this off here, like that. God, they just crumble as you cut them. They're so thin. Now, the question is, can we cut this? Because what I want to do is kind of cut down the leading edge of the wing without tearing the decal to pieces. Everybody cross everything. That goes to there. That goes down to there, and then hopefully we can... Oh God, this doesn't want to peel off. It's just crumbling to pieces. Right, but that gives you the idea anyway. Like I say, I'll just get the rest of those bits peeled off. Deary me. Whew, it does not want to come off of there in one piece. I was hoping I could just peel that off in one go, but nope. Still, never mind. I might just have to do it like this. Oh yeah, there we go. That's the way to do it. Just very lightly scrape it with the knife. Oh, there you go. That bit's coming off. God, what a mess. Right, there we go. Let's get rid of this bit as well. Like that. Phew, that was probably way more painful than it needed to be. Let's get these bits off. There we go. What was hard about that? Alright. Let's put a bit more of this along the edge because I want to get that, make sure that edge is good and stuck down. Let's trim this end off. Oh, that's not going as well as I would hope, but never mind. All right. Make sure that side is stuck down. And there we go. Whew. Wow, that was somewhat stressful. Oh dear. Wow, that was hard work. Okay, I'll just make sure these edges are stuck down. So it's a little bit ratty in places, but I think we can get away with it. So there we go. That gives you an idea of something like what we're trying to achieve. So I'll let this dry. And then I'll do the rest of it. Fun. Anyway, hope we're all getting a good laugh out of this, if nothing else. Oh dear. Right, a little update. This has not been going well, I have to say. These decals are not great. They are very, very thin, and they are, it's difficult to describe, they're almost like they're brittle. It's like as soon as you go near the edge, they just start crumbling. So this, I've done one side of the bottom here, and it's not great. It's not terrible, but it's not great. You can see there are a few gaps at the front there, but you know, it's as best as I could do. But for the other side, I'm going to try something different. So what I've done is I've put the underside one on, and I haven't tried to form it, because the trouble is, like, as soon as you try and like work it around the edges, it just starts to break, and it goes all like feathery almost. So what I did with this side to try and recover it, and it did work, is I basically let it dry then I hit it with the old lacquer, gave it a good coat of that, and then while it was wet, I just took a cocktail stick and just kind of stuck the stuff to the lacquer, and that seems to have worked. So what I'm going to try and do on this side, and unfortunately this is the last wing, so it's too late for me. Save yourselves, as they say. But this is something that I think might help, you know, if you're doing one of these. So I'm going to leave this to dry. I'm not even going to try and work it. I'm just going to leave it to dry. Then I'm going to give it a good spray with the lacquer. Then I'm going to fold the edges over. Then I'm going to leave that to dry. And then I'll put the top on and do the same again. Put the top on flat, let it dry, hit it with the lacquer, fold it over, and then let it dry. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I think that's probably going to work better. But I'll try it, and then it'll either work or it won't. So, you know, next time you see this, it'll either look great or it'll look awful. Back in a bit. Right, so here is our lower wing. The keen-eyed among you will notice it's now a different colour. Because guess who messed up? Yes. Upon revisiting the plans, it turns out that, I don't know if I remember if I showed you at the beginning, but there's basically a blue lozenge pattern and a green lozenge pattern. And apparently you're supposed to put the blue lozenge pattern on the top of the wings and the green one on the underside. So I didn't realise that. So I've recovered the one I'd already done, and I've put this one on this side. And then we've got the green on the underside. So the little trick with the lacquer has worked. It's not great, but it's a lot better than it was. So yes, the next step, which I'm going to do off camera because it's going to take hours, is to put all of these on, all of these stripes. Yeah, I'm almost tempted to paint them on. I'm wondering if it will be quicker to mask it and paint it than it would be to put all of these on. But these need to go on the upper and lower side of the lower wing, the underside of the upper wing, and the underside of the tail. But I'll put a couple on and see how it goes. And if it's going to take forever, then I might just paint them on. But we'll see. So there's also a few other decals that need to go on the wings, which I shall put on as well while I'm at it. And then once that's done, I shall give the whole thing a spritz of our, oh, there we go, matte lacquer. And then we can move on from there and maybe actually build a plane. Right, back in a bit. Right, it is the next day. And if you remember, there's no reason why you wouldn't, because for you it was only a few seconds ago. I was talking about the fun that I had to look forward to of putting all those stripe decals on. And then I thought to myself, why am I doing that when it would be so much easier to just mask it off and paint them? Probably look better as well. So that's what I'm doing. So what I have here, you'll see I started with normal masking tape on this end, but the problem was, or the problem is, I should say, because the problem still exists, I only have, this is 3mm tape, and I only have this much 3mm tape, and I don't think that's going to be enough to do the whole thing. And then I thought to myself, well, I can use something better. So I turned to this. This is also 3mm, but this is 3M vinyl tape. You know, it's like anything. If you want to stick things, you can't go much better than 3M. So they're not a sponsor or anything, and they just make really good adhesives. That's what I'm doing. The problem is with this is it's surprisingly tricky to do this, because trying to see where the ribs are, you have to try and catch the light to see them, because the thing is, the ribs on this are not very well defined, which is not a fault of the model. It's just how these aircraft are. They're not very well, defined ribs. I suppose the linen was just pulled very taut over the ribs. But yeah, so it makes it a bit tricky to get them, you know, exactly in the right place, but it's fine. We'll manage. And this 3M tape, I think, will do a much better job. I'm just hoping, because if I peel this tape off and it peels all of the decals off, I shall be... Well, if that happens, then this thing may well go in the bin. Or it might just get painted red. Entirely red. But we'll see how it goes. But the other thing is, with this being vinyl tape, is it's got a bit more give to it. So I'll obviously do the upper and lower sides of the lower wing, and then I'll do the underside of the upper wing, and we'll see how it goes. But I just think even with the amount of time this is going to take, I think it's still going to be quicker and more save my sanity than trying to do all of those little tiny stripes. So, because there's a lot of them, as you can see. What I've also done, just quickly, is I've painted the top half of the top wing, and I literally did that with a rattle can. Didn't mask it or anything. If you just hit it at the right angle, it basically masks itself, because this wing is quite chonky, as you can see, so it just masks itself. So I've got to do the stripes on the underside of this one, which is going to be even worse, because you really can't see those at all. And the thing is, the trailing edge of the wing is not really that scalloped, so it's quite tricky to do. But we'll see how it goes. I'm not even sure. Let me just... Oh yeah, the upper wings do have stripes on them, although the ailerons don't, which is interesting. So these bits don't have the stripes. The stripes come down to there and stop. So, but anyway, and I say I was going to paint this white, but I've put the white primer on, and this looks fine. So I think we'll just go ahead and mask that up afterwards and paint the red stripes on it. But obviously we'll talk about that a bit more when we get to it. But as I say, for now, I will continue with my taping, and until we reach a point where we can start throwing some paint at this thing. Right, so we've got everything masked up here, and I'm going to use this X14 Sky Blue. It is gloss, unfortunately. I don't have a matte blue like this shade, but we'll give this a go and see how it works. Right. Let's see how we get on with this. What I'm doing is I'm trying to hit it straight on to avoid any possibility of the paint bleeding under the tape, but we'll just have to see how it goes. Oh, I hate spraying gloss. It never goes on very well. Right, I'll get the rest of these done, and then we'll try getting the tape off. That's going to be the really fun bit. Right, now for the fun bit, we get to unmask this across everything. Because this is either going to look great, or it's just, or we've just ruined it. Oh dear. Please don't rip the decals off. Oh, there's a bit come off. There's a little bit on there, look, you see. I suppose, worst case, we can always touch it up with a bit of paint, but we'll see how it goes, see how the rest of it goes. Right, now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them off from the front. Oh, come on. Yeah, these decals are really not very robust. Well, we have a blue stripe. This is where it's going to get really iffy. I am literally gritting my teeth right now. Oh. All right, I'll take a couple more off and we'll see how we get on, and then I'll do the rest off camera, so you won't hear me sobbing. Right. Pull it off just slowly and smoothly. That's the idea. Oh, that doesn't look too bad, does it? I think we might have cracked it. Now I've said that, it's just going to rip all the stuff off. And if that happens, then the whole thing's getting red and white stripes. Yeah, seriously, if these decals rip off, I'm just gonna prime the whole thing and just do it white and red. But that's not looking too bad. Let's try this tail. Because this was a bit iffy anyway, quite frankly. I did give this several like quite heavy coats of lacquer to try and seal everything and keep everything in place, especially like on the edges. But we'll have to see how it goes. Let's try this. Ooh. I'm literally holding my breath each time. It's kind of funny. Oh, come on. Okay. Oh, I swear that lifted. Oh. Right, well, that doesn't look too bad, does it? Right, let me get the rest of these off and then we'll see what they all look like. Right, so I'm just taking off the last couple of pieces of tape here, and it's gone surprisingly well. There's been a couple of mishaps that I'll show you in a second, but I found the best way to do it is to basically just pull the tape, and you'll see I'm pulling it like really flat across the surface. So I'm not pulling it up, I'm pulling it across, and that has really helped. But oh god, I forgot about those bits. Sorry, just but yes, that is definitely seems to be the way forwards with this. And just do it very, very slowly. I mean, honestly, I think it's taken almost as long to get this tape off as it did to put it on. Where's the end of that bit? Oh, there it is. So this is the last bit. And this is where it's all going to go horribly wrong and tear great chunks of it. So, like I said, just pull it flat against the surface. And that seems to help a great deal. Now, this one's going to be problematic because it's right on the edge. But again, just take it very, very slowly and carefully. And now it's got to go across that, which I absolutely hate. Oh. Nearly there. Just take it nice and slow. There we go. So yes, as I said, the tail actually went really well. That was no problem at all. I mean, this all crumbled while I was putting it on, so but this is fine. Although one thing I wanted to point out, let me see if I can find a bit to show you. If you see pointy thing, I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up or not, but like here, you can see there's almost like ripples in it, here and here, and there's another one there. And that was where, as I was peeling the tape off, you could see the decal lifting off the surface. And I am convinced that it was only the lacquer that's holding it together. But yeah, again, at that point, it's just slow right down and take it really careful. On this top wing, we did lose a bit. We lost a chunk here. And we lost a bit here. Although this bit here started to lift. And I peeled the tape so carefully and I actually managed to save it. And then we lost a couple of bits around the edges somewhere. You don't even really notice it, to be honest. But I can patch those bits. But yeah, that was absolutely horrendous. But I still think it was better than trying to apply those decals. So what I'm going to do now is I'll patch up these couple of little bits. Then I'm going to give it another coat of lacquer just to seal it. And then we can start the hopefully slightly easier task of masking the top and painting that. That should go a little bit easier because we're going straight onto paint, not onto decals. So I'll patch all this up and then we'll go from there. Right, these wings are all dry now. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting the masking on for the stripes on the top. So this is 6mm tape. And what I'm doing to get the spacing is put down a piece of tape, put another piece the same width next to it, and then take another piece and put that on the other side like that. And then peel this piece up, move it across, just put it on loose, and take another piece, and put that on the other side like that, and you can see what I'm doing. And then peel that piece up. That is not actually in the right place. There we go. Right, and then, like I said, peel that up, move it across one, and just work all the way across the wing like that. So I'll get the rest of this done and then we'll put some paint on it. Right, that's all masked up. And I'm now going to hit it with some XF7 flat red. You may notice actually there's a red cross on the top of this tub. What I do sometimes, if there's something that needs a lot of paint like this, then I'll basically thin out a whole pot so I can just use it straight from the pot into the airbrush. And if I do that, then I put a mark on the top to show that it's pre-thinned. But let's see how this works. And the trick when you're doing this is to do it very lightly and build it up in thin coats, because what we don't want to do is blob it on and then have the paint run under the tape. So we just put it on in several thin layers like this and just gradually build it up. So I'll do the rest of it in a minute, but just to give you an idea. So by the time we got to here, this will be dry, so we can go back and do it again. And so on and so forth. And then back to the beginning again. And as you can see now, that's looking pretty good. So I will carry on and do the rest of this, and then we'll see what it looks like. Right, so this is done and dry now. I'm just going to peel off this paper and hope that we haven't had any paint bleed underneath. I was also very careful in lifting up the tape because I still don't want to rip any of the decals off, because even at this stage it could still go horribly wrong. And after expending this much effort on this, I'd like to try and keep it half decent. But let's see how we do. What I really don't want is any paint bleeding under the tape, because obviously you're painting red over white, and if it bleeds you've then got to try and cover up red with white, which as we all know is next to impossible. So let's see how this goes. The nice thing is that now we're not going with over the decals anymore. We can literally just tear this tape off and not have to be quite so precious about it. But this is not looking too bad so far. So the tape keeps sticking to my fingers. Oh, that's annoying. That just broke off the control thingy, but we can glue that back on. I need to keep that safe. This tiny little piece of plastic, although to be fair I can always make another one if I lose it. That's really annoying, but not the end of the world. If that's the worst thing that happens here, we'll be doing all right. And that actually seems to have gone rather well. Yeah, that looks all right, doesn't it? Right. I also, just as an aside, I did the tail while I was at it, and I sprayed down the side here, and it's tidied up the edge of this very nicely. It's still not perfect, but it looks a lot better than it did. So what I want to do now is there's a few decals that need to go on the end of the wings, and then I think we can start on the actual building of this thing. Finally. Right, well I was just about to put some decals on, and I thought, oh, I'll put the crosses on the wings while I'm at it. And then when I looked, I realised that the crosses actually have a dark green background. So I'll just paint that on, shall I? It's like every time I go to do something, I find something else that needs to be painted or something. But, you know, it's all right. So this is, yeah, this is just flat green, XF5. And unfortunately, it's quite a simple masking job, so... There we go. I'll give that another couple of coats, peel the masking tape off very carefully, lacquer it again, and then put some decals on. And then once I've done all that, again, I'll probably find something else to paint, but if I don't, then we'll start putting this in together. And here's where we've gotten to so far. We've fought with some recalcitrant decals, but I think we've made some good progress. It's been a bit touch and go in places, but you know, we're making progress. If any of you've built one of these, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on the decals and whatnot, and whether you had the same kind of problems that I did. But yeah, I think we're getting there. In the next video, we will continue with this build and see what other delights are in store for us. But in the meantime, I'd like to take a moment and thank my top tier patrons, Howard, Amy, Chris and Hawaii Clive O, for their continued support. And I will see you all in the next video. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers. Bye.